Hey now, Victorinox here. Today we're going to take a look at a new model, a new size, something I haven't shown on the channel before. First we're going to look at something related. This is an 84 millimeter camper, but the camper is a very popular model. Has the 3 layers with the saw in the middle. This one has the polished saw because it's pre-65, but you get the point. It's got the saw, it's got the blades, it's got the opening layers. You got 3 layers to have your reamer, your corkscrew, your openers, and your blades. But what if we could get all that into, or most of that into 2 layers? So here we have a Safari, also called a Trooper. It's the same thing as the green German knives you might see pretty often. This is just the consumer variation of that earlier German army knife. So we've got the red plastic scales, which on this one fit very nice and tight. Everything is nice and square and straight. Great example here. First up, we've got a large 5-turn corkscrew. Bam. Look at that. Aluminum liners. Next up, we've got that reamer. And that is a nice, long, lovely reamer. Next up, we don't have a whole lot on this knife, but it does a whole lot. We've got the combo saw, cap lifter, can opener, screwdriver. It does it all. It does your taxes. It'll wash your car. And no, it won't do that, but it's quite a cool tool. It is missing. I believe these had a cover too. If you see the German ones, they usually have a metal cover over this blade. That might be the case, or maybe they stopped doing that at some point. But you notice it's got this combo tip that can open caps, it can open cans, and it is also, as it's clearly been used for many times, a screwdriver and a wood saw. So yeah, I don't know, it's a cool tool. I've wanted to see one of these for a while, and yeah, it's an awkward design, but I guess it packed everything they needed in there. And finally, we've got a large, luscious blade. No stamp on the back, just the 4-line tank stamp on the front. Victorinox, Switzerland, stainless, rust-free. This is the 108 millimeter Safari, or possibly the Safari Trooper, depending on what you want to call it. Now let's compare it to smaller ones. First, we've got this 84 millimeter camper, which I think this saw might be nearly as long as the 108 millimeter. And you've actually got a longer saw on the 84 millimeter camper. So obviously the saw is like a backup tool, just to jam another utility in there for the packaging sake of how many tools it can have. Here we've got an interesting unbranded German knife. Does not have any stamps. It just says Germany on the saw. That's it. But you'll notice the saw opens the opposite way of the camper, so it opens from the same end as the main blade on this one, which is kind of interesting. The reason they normally don't open like that is because the nail nicks will get in the way of each other, as they do on this one, which is why Victorinox reversed the saw. But whoever built this one did not. So you see them like this sometimes. This is a nice saw too. And then we've got a little more recent, this is that Jagdmesser hunter's knife that I showed the other day, and this has a great saw on it too. And this is probably the longest saw of these ones, I would imagine. But having these little wood saws is such a great thing if you're camping or out in the woods or doing some carving work, because these aren't for, you often get the kind of the snarky reply like, what are you going to cut down with that little thing? You're going to cut down a tree with it? No, you're not going to cut down a tree. Well, you might if you had to. But really what they're for is for carving notches, for, doing work that you know, is a little too much to handle with just a knife blade, is exactly why you have this little saw. You know, when you've got to make a notch in something, if you've got to split a small branch or something like that, you can do it with the saw instead of beating up your knife blade. And that's exactly why they're here. But no, you're not going to cut down a giant oak tree with these little saws. But you can cut down a pretty large tree. You can cut down a tree close to 3 times the diameter of the length of the saw if you're crafty. Now, would that be fun to do? Hell no, that would not be any fun to do. But if you really had to, you can do it. But it's a nightmare to do. But they're great for the best thing I find these for is like doing notches. Like if you're trying to show somebody how to set up a trap and you need to do the figure 4 stick thing, and you can cut in the notches with this a lot easier than doing it with a blade. That's been my #1 use for these wood saws. But anyway, so we've got the 108mm Safari Trooper from Victorinox. I believe this one dates to the, sometime in the 80s probably. These aren't particularly old. And I've seen somebody say that they're rare. I don't even think they're particularly rare. I see them pretty often, but they're not as common as the 91 and 84mm, obviously. But you do see them once in a while. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Victorinox out.